Hey everyone, it's Wendy Hutchinson with The Path of Me. I have a beautiful guest with me today, Jenette Serrins. She's the owner and founder of Being in LA and also an incredible skincare line called Jenette Skincare, which I'm a huge fan of. I use it every day. Welcome, Jenette. Thank you so much for being here with me.
You. So happy to be here.
It's so great to have you on. I wanted to ask you, what inspired you? Did you know from an early age you were going to take this path and end up being so involved in botanicals and healing and skincare? I mean,
Never,
how did this unfold for you?
never thought that would happen.
Yeah. How
I,
did it happen? What events led to it?
um, my passion was actually writing and speaking, and was going to the political realm a little bit.
Really?
And so my major is actually in speech communications. And I was going to be moving to DC and writing speeches for the president.
Wow. And then life was like, no, you're going this way, actually.
Was what I had envisioned when I was in college, but there was something that happened. My parents got divorced
Hmm.
when I was 19, and I got pulled out of my university that I had really believed that I should be at. And they made me come home, and I lived with my dad, and I worked with my mom. And she
Wow.
kind of, I feel like I was a little bullied in some ways, but I also know that I was there to help support them and get them through it. I was the oldest, I'm the oldest of four kids, and I feel like it just needed to happen. So my mom started a day spa, and she wanted me to do everything with her. hmm
Really?
So that's
Wow.
how I got into it, and she carried Aveda. That was something that her and I both really resonated with. Is more
Mhm.
natural products. And so we carried those along with a couple other lines. And I just learned how to do everything. Like if someone called in sick, oh, guess what? I was the massage therapist. Oh,
Oh
someone
my gosh, really?
get their body scrub. Well, guess what? I could give them their body scrub.
Oh my God. So it was really on the job training for you. You were just learning as you went.
I did get a license.
Mhm.
I did go to cosmetology school, and I got the appropriate license for most of it.
Mhm.
So that was an interesting little thing. I still continued to get my degree in 4 years, even though I did a lot of other things during that time. And I was still pretty adamant about going in that direction. And a way to make money was to do Aveda treatments. And so that's
Mhm.
what I did. My last couple years of college, I worked for Aveda. I was in Berkeley. And my first husband, he worked for Aveda, and then we kind of just had this thing going on, and we moved to LA and worked for some pretty high-end Beverly Hills spas that carried Aveda. And then I started educating for them and started spa programs at certain places around LA.
When did you have this spark to really deep dive into botanicals and herbs and other natural ingredients and start to incorporate those into your your work?
I think that I always had a, a scent for all of this. Um, I'm obsessed with smell, and I'm really drawn to it, and then I'm very turned off by it. So that has been a guiding force
So it's like
because
a superpower.
yes, it really because sometimes it's really bad, right? If there's something so bad and it's exasperated, but if it's something so good, but me being so sensitive, I realize that most of what I'm using, I'm not loving the smell of, but I did resonate with Aveda, right? Because back
Mhm.
when Horst was involved before Estee Lauder took over, they were very pure essential oils. and they were more of a hair care line. So I was starting to kind of customize and curate the skincare a little bit and bring other things in that could work. So that's kind of how it started. And then treating young people's skin, this was not going to be my career. But when I started really seeing the power that I had to change someone's skin in 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, and take them from crazy cystic acne to like flawless skin with guiding them, there was something there. So I just kept on following that path.
Would you say you were intuitively guided? Because you have such an organic, like, talent for bringing in the right ingredients. Do you feel like it's kind of just divinely inspired as you're looking at all of the stuff in front of you? You're like, I think I need to bring this in. And then obviously your knowledge, you're just a wealth of knowledge when it comes to botanicals and herbs and all the healing properties. So I'm sure all of that plays into it, right?
Yes. I love making products. I love cooking. I love providing something special with everything that touches you, everything that you ingest. Like I just got done making, Cutter and I just started a cleanse today, and we've been prepping. And so was it last night or 2 nights ago, I started prepping like our little special ginger curry stew that we could eat when we need to have that support. And it's just, I love it. I love,
so cool.
things that are from me, that are from
Mhm.
the earth.
So I had a question. Did you just take over your mom's spa, or did you create your own? Did you just branch out and say, I'm going to create my own kind of thing?
This is when I was 19. It was for a very short period of time, because then I went off. I was like, this is not my path. I have to get away from my dad and my mom.
Right.
I mean, I did not want to be around that. So I ended up leaving and went to a couple different universities. And then that's how I ended up in Berkeley. And so we did not leave. I think we got to LA in 1998 or 1999.
Mm-hmm.
And then I did that for a few years, and then I wanted more. So then I went and worked for a dermatologist in Beverly Hills and kind of offered more like holistic treatments, while they're getting injected next door. Always creating a very magical spa,
Experience.
sacred, vibrational bliss. That's always kind of been
Love
my.
it.
I can create a magical space in 7 hours. We've timed it because Cutter and I have had to move the spa in the past like 10 years because of certain circumstances, and like set up shop real fast. So
Gosh.
after working at the doctor's office, that was not resonating with me, but I learned a lot. And then I was really, truly able to see what people needed at every stage and every level of their skin, because there's so many different things about your skin coloring, like where you fall on the Fitzpatrick scale, which people don't know about. And then there's also levels of your sebaceous glands. And most people are misguided, and they're using things that are hurting them and depleting them and robbing them. So everything that I want to do is building them up, boosting their immune system to get to the long-term health and well-being, not just the quick fixes, because that just hurts us in the long run. We could get cancer, or we could have hyperpigmentation or enlarged pores. So really trying to meet people where they're at and get them on a healthier program. So that's when I knew I'd be opening my own place.
Right. What year was that?
Being in LA was 2005.
Wow. That's incredible. You must have such a loyal following. If I lived in LA, I would be knocking on your door.
Well, I hear you're having your book launch in March.
Yes, San Diego. I'm super excited about it.
So you could come.
I wish I could. I'm not staying that long in San Diego for my book launch, but I have to have you introduce your story about Cutter. who's your partner in life. He's your partner in work, you know, and your story just captivated me when you told me your how we met story. I've met him personally and love him. So share that story with us real quick, because I think it is such a great story about how you guys came together.
So, being in LA turned from a wellness center into a hair salon, and my best friend was helping manage the hair part. So, my best friend is my kid's godmother, and she really helped rehabilitate me through my divorce.
Mm.
It was a pretty sticky situation, and I had to kind of start over. And she helped that. And she also helped reshape things for the spa so that she could be a part of that. So Lauren actually cut Cutter's hair for a long time. They were friends. I think he even had a crush on her. So yeah, one night we just were talking it up, and there was just something kind of different. We'd met in the past and we never really liked each other. We always had like a little bit of an issue. We thought we were kind of both stuck up or snobby, but he was always in a relationship. I was married. Okay, so that was no.
Right. That's a deal breaker.
I had done this workshop where it was about like getting raw and real. It was like a 3 or 4 day workshop, and I definitely had a lot of my walls kind of down and just kind of wanting to live a more true, authentic life.
Mm-hmm.
Just really honest, which most of the time I am, but I was starting to be more honest.
Mm-hmm.
And I just asked him because he was saying he was having a hard time dating. He doesn't know if he wants to date in LA. And I said, well, what are you looking for? And lo and behold, this man has a laundry list of what he's looking for. And I'm not talking 5 things. There was probably 22 things on that list. And in my head, I'm thinking, holy shit, this guy knows what he wants. And he's kind of describing me. Is that possible? I just kind of was taken back.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of checked off all those boxes,
Mm-hmm.
but I was like, wait. I was just trying to hook you up with one of my clients. Like,
Right.
that night, he asked my friend and he said, well, what's going on with Jenette? And she goes, well, she's divorced. And he's like, oh, okay. But the one thing that really caught me is after he went down his list, I said, okay, well, I might have someone for you. And I walked away. And as I walked away, he said, but there's one more thing. I do not want kids. And, I had 2 kids. I had an 8-year-old, maybe a 7-year-old at that time, and a 3.5-year, 4-year-old. And I said, wow, you could really be preventing the most amazing thing from ever happening to you. I just thought, wow, he's just so closed off. And that's one thing that,
Mm-hmm.
so that sparked something with him. He's talking to my friend and he's like, oh, well, I would totally date her. She's hot. And my friend's like, dude, she has kids. You don't want kids. And he's like, well, I would make an exception for her.
Oh, really? Wow.
So that night they went back to my place and we had some wine and he basically never left. Yeah.
The rest is history, as they say.
And we had a stylist work for us, and I always have this joke, and I actually mentioned it at his 50th because it was just so perfect. She's like, yeah, Cutter basically like went to the grocery store and was like, one family please at checkout.
He got it.
Yeah.
He got made to order.
Oh, within 3 months, I mean, God, within the first month, I met his entire family. He met almost my entire family. And then 3 months later, we were moving in.
Oh my gosh. That's just incredible.
So,
That is incredible. So I know he does more with the Jenette skincare side, and you're kind of I know there's a lot of crossover too, because you're formulating and creating, but it's great to have somebody you really trust, someone who believes in your mission, has the same integrity and values as you do. I know you're really focused on quality organic products and not just having people come in for a skincare treatment or whatever, but also to it's healing, right? You're really helping to heal them in a lot of ways besides just healing the skin and the surface. There's so much more to it, right?
Definitely creating a safe space. That's to me, the most important thing, that you don't find everywhere. And that's why people go to healers, right? Because you want a safe space
Yeah.
to relax, decompress, share, but to heal. Like if you don't feel safe, it's
You
really
must be really good, Jenette, at holding space for people because you've been working with people for such a long time in such an intimate manner. I mean, I think anybody who's actually having physical contact with someone, especially with their head and their face, which is such a private and sacred space for people, people just really open up. You've probably heard it all in your practice.
Oh yeah. One of these days when I retire, I'll be writing, the conversations that you're never meant to talk about off the facial bed.
Oh my gosh. But I love that you're able to bring your beautiful energy and infuse that in everything that you do, whether it's raising your children, helping clients bring their skin and vibrancy back, or creating these incredible products for Jenette skincare, which are my favorite. I mean, both Mike and I use them every day.
Oh,
So
you got
oh
using them.
oh,
Wonderful.
yeah, yeah. You've got
Good.
some hardcore fans over here in Texas. So anyway, what have you found is the probably most impactful thing you've learned through this journey for yourself? How have you changed? And what have you learned about yourself going through all the trials and tribulations of running these businesses and having to make these decisions and also be super mindful of the products you're sourcing and integrity of your company? What have you learned about yourself?
That I need more me time. That is bottom line. I was getting to a really good place with that before the pandemic of really having carved out time for Jenette.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not at my best. I'm not giving my best.
Right.
I was really kind of scheduling off blocks of time where I'd have, 2 hours on this day and 2 hours on this day. And I mean, sometimes I would just go rollerblade at the beach,
Mm-hmm.
but just like having that alone time to really be with me,
Right.
recharge.
Oh.
And, you know, the pandemic changed things quite a bit because I have a family and
Mm-hmm.
we had to be shut down for quite some time. And so we kind of, as a family, were going to work. Like we hired the kids, we would walk to work, we'd walk to the lab. That was our outing. Like every other day, we'd all walk, put on our, the gloves and the mask and keep our hair covered with the hair nets, like kind of what our lab does.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what we were all doing. And it's like, how do you get away?
Right. There is no escape, especially if they're doing homeschooling, because a lot of it was remote and you're used to just having dedicated time to really just power through your workday. And now here you've got these kids that are hungry or they need help, tech help, or whatever it is, or they don't want to be doing school, so they're on their phone or something. How did you manage the stress of that and being together 24/7? That's a
Well,
lot.
thank God my kids are amazing and so independent and much more savvy than I have ever been with technology. Just the bar keeps raising. Now my 7-year-old niece is better than all of us. But
Of course.
Love was teaching me how to do PowerPoints during the pandemic. I'm like, you're in 7th grade. You're doing PowerPoints? What? So that was part of it, that they were solid. They, there were definitely some highs and lows for everybody, and they had a little bit, but they are independent and they were able to handle school. So we knew that we could have them come to work with us and keep them kind of busy and at least have something else, right, on the outside.
Right.
You can't see your friends.
Right.
So you're paying them some money.
Which is incentivizing, right, at their age, because everybody, no one's going to turn that down. How did your family dynamics change, having gone from having this really independent kind of life and then being together 24/7? How did the dynamics change, do you think, within your family through that experience?
We still carved out time. We gave each other space.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we probably were a little bit more heightened at times.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Everybody was.
It was kind of like, okay, I remember having a conversation with Cutter about, yes, the state of the world is stressful and we're kind of like still supposed to be examples here. So how can we do that? Mm-hmm. So trying to just keep some lightheartedness, Cutter let them do like a junk food night every week, which we would never, ever do. But he talked me into it, and it kind of was a game changer. The kids felt like, oh my gosh, like we've been fighting and begging to have junk food for all these years. Just to be able to have that. And I don't know if it was once a week, maybe it was once a month, but like, they could just pick out whatever they wanted. And usually it was like a bag of chips or Fruit Loops or, like a sweet cereal that we all grew up with, but we don't allow it.
Right.
But, Cutter was like, can we please just give that to them? And I thought, oh God, that just doesn't seem right. And he goes, babe, I promise it's going to allow them to feel like they're having
something. They had a little win.
Yeah. And it really did shift things. And I know that sounds crazy, junk food, but just letting.
It's not just the junk food. It's more like they had a little victory. They got something that you had really drawn a line in the sand with, and you actually compromised. And for them, it was more like an emotional victory than the actual act of getting the Fruit Loops or the processed food or whatever it was, right?
They had a voice. I think they have a voice. And then what also shifted, them being teenagers, we asked them, things that they wanted to do and how would they feel heard or what would make them feel better in these situations, and really having them sit down and talk to us. We would never do it with them together. It was usually just one-on-one.
Right.
Time. Because before the pandemic, Cutter and I always had time one-on-one, like where he would take Love to Disneyland once a year, and then he'll take her skiing, and then I'll take Love shopping or out to lunch. And then Beckett, we'd have our little date night. So we kind of always tried to do that separately, which I think is so huge and so important for all parents to have one-on-one time with their kids, because it's them as an individual, not as a sibling or unit, and they feel more confident and valued. So not having that, we were trying to figure out ways
to make it work, right?
It didn't always work, but I think just letting them sit with us and just like, hey, what do you want? Like, what sounds good to you? And I mean, by the end of the pandemic, I mean, my son, who was 18 then, he's a senior in high school. He missed everything, never went to prom, never dressed up for a dance. But what he was saying by the end is, because he was having a hard time dating, girls, he would FaceTime with them and never meet them until he thought it was like a real green light. Yeah. And then he would meet them because there's no point, right? Because it's kind of only, you can drive to the park and go have a little lunch. Right. I mean, it was just like, so he wouldn't waste his time unless it was like, ooh, this is someone I would be interested in. And it was only 3 girls the entire pandemic, and they never lasted more than a week. And he was like, Mama, all I want is a girl that is my best friend.
Oh, I love that.
So
Just
like,
bro, you just cracked my heart open.
but I mean, that's
Oh,
like as a mom,
yeah.
that I'm like, well, honey, you're going to have it in college. And you know what? He is in love and his girlfriend is so awesome.
Right now? He,
Yes.
he
Yeah.
met he met a great girl?
At UC Davis. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I remember you talking about how hard it was letting him go. I
God.
mean, so you had all of this really intimate time as a family because of the pandemic, and then you had to let him go. What was it like dropping your baby off at college and then driving home? Were you crying your eyes out?
Horrible. Horrible. I ended up getting this ginkgo tattoo when I was there, knowing I was having to say goodbye to him. I'm like, I just need to get a tattoo right now. I do this. And Love's on the phone with me in LA saying, Mama, have you researched this place? How do you know that this place is good? You're going to get a tattoo right now. Are you sure you're in the right state of mind to do this? This is
Oh my gosh.
at the time my 14-year-old daughter telling me this, which was comical. But yeah, he met this amazing girl and he's having a really good time with her. We met her, he brought her home for Christmas and we met her
Really?
mom
This is kind of serious if she came home for Christmas.
just for a night. He went to her house for a few days in San Diego. That's
Okay.
and then he brought her here and then we met her mom and yeah, it was wonderful. But
Oh my gosh.
yeah, he's really thriving.
I love that you guys came together for such conscious parenting. And I think the world needs more of that. You know, I was wondering how the pandemic impacted your business. How did you pivot and shift and navigate that? Because you are literally in a spa doing these hands-on treatments. And so that obviously ground to a halt really quick. That must have been so scary for you.
Very scary. And I think we just, again, Cutter and I decided to make the best of it. We were like, we have to rise above. We have to be leaders. And we started looking for new spaces because we weren't very happy with our situation at our space.
Mhm.
There were some issues with the landlord and the permits or something. And we thought, maybe we should move. And then we found our most magical space. We moved a year ago exactly into a craftsman home, like a mile away in Silver Lake.
How
And
perfect is that? I love it.
it was scary. But Cutter was really just like so positive, and he's like, "You've always made things work, and I'm a risk taker. What can I say?"
I love it.
Don't own a home yet, but I will soon. And we just keep on, trusting and believing. And, for me, I guess during the pandemic, what I thought people need human touch more than ever right now.
Yes.
And we
Yes.
can't even do that unless we were sneaking around and doing it illegally
Right.
with your safe people that you know.
Hmm.
I thought, wow, if I could create another magical space where we could offer more, then why not do that? Because people are going to want it. And they do.
I'm sure you found that now that things have relaxed a little bit and people are coming in with the right protocols and protections in place, that your premonition was accurate, would you say?
Yes.
So what did you expand in your spa to include?
We now have 2 treatment rooms and we're able to offer more LED light therapy. So for people who don't feel comfortable being touched, they can at least have some support with the LED that lays on them.
Tell me a little bit about that because I don't know anything about LED light therapy.
Light therapy, as you know, the light and energy around us is so magical and powerful.
Mhm.
Well, there have been scientists and chemists, for thousands of years testing lights and what they can do.
Mhm.
I researched for a couple years to try to find a machine that I trusted. And I found one, and the studies are done by NASA. It's a company called Lightwave, and they're out of Arizona. And I met with them a few times and got a lot of training from their like head director. And it resonated because it's healing on a cellular level. It kills bacteria and it repairs damaged cells. So if people have hyperpigmentation, if they have discomfort, like if you have like a pinched nerve, I had a client who fell off of a horse and she tried everything, chiropractics, acupuncture, and nothing was shifting it. And we literally put the lights on her back, and within 3 sessions, she's better. I mean, it's crazy. It gets
So
rid of.
you're seeing some incredible results then from this.
Oh, yeah, psoriasis, rosacea. My goal in the next couple months is to actually get the bed. I'm praying. I have to actually put in a new electrical panel and outlet for this bed. But your body, you lay in it. Imagine your whole body is being repaired. So for people who have fibromyalgia, for people who need like real support,
Intense full body support, this would be a great opportunity for them.
and they're getting their face beautified and healed as well. So that has been a dream of mine for the past couple years.
Well, then it's going to come true, because what I know about you is when you put your mind to something, it happens. Maybe not as quickly or on your timeline as you'd like, but eventually you do find that right space. You do create the magic.
I have 20 clients and friends and staff right now envisioning every day that we're getting it. And I'm just waiting for approval from the management company. Like
that'll come for sure.
So, and then
that's awesome.
That bed is coming.
Oh my gosh, Jenette. So what's next for you besides this incredible light therapy bed that you're manifesting right now? What direction are you going? What have you learned as a person on your personal journey through all of this? I mean, you've been through such highs and lows and stress and joy, and 2021 was such a pivotal year, I will say, energetically, because it was really fleshing every fear and deepest vulnerability to the surface for people. Like, they had no choice. Just the energies and frequencies bombarding the planet were literally forcing things to the surface that were kind of rocking people's worlds. But at the same time, through the facing of it, people have been really mastering themselves and letting go of things and surrendering a little bit, I think. So I was wondering if there's been anything specific that you've noticed that has really shifted for you.
I think it's interesting that you said the surrender, and I really tried to let go of things that aren't serving me. That's kind of been ever since I had kids. I feel like, like let the things go that don't really matter, let the people go that don't really matter, focus on being present. But again, all that fear came up, and kind of a panic of like,
clear, because it comes up to clear.
How are we going to get through this?
Yeah.
How are we going to bring our staff back and pay them? And then you have everybody come back in a very heightened
state.
And trying to stay calm.
Right.
Everybody's energies, because not everybody stayed so grounded, and they're not seeing like, oh, we're providing this magical space every day. So trying to be there for them and listen to them and just sit with that.
Yeah.
Know that this could pass. This may just pass. Just let it sit and not reacting.
Huge.
And that is a game changer, to just listen. My spa manager and I, Friday, we just came up with a whole great new idea. And I'm so excited. I'm mentioning it on Monday to my staff, because we have a staff team meeting at least once a month. And we decided that we are going to let each person start leading the meetings, not me.
I love it. Empowerment. That's huge.
They are going to lead the meetings. So whatever they think really needs to be happening and the focus needs to be on, that's their time.
Wow, I love it.
It holds them more accountable
Mhm.
and maybe feel more a part of the connectedness that I've been wanting to create, because sometimes people don't feel it, until they're given that power.
100%. And I think also we have to be so mindful because when you bring people together, their energy impacts the whole, especially in a sacred space that you've created. So if somebody comes in fired up or anxious or fearful or angry, that energy just infuses
Oh, yeah.
the entire space. So you have to really, create mindfulness practices, I would think, and not only hold space, but give them tools, right? So that they can kind of self-regulate and come together in a more harmonious and
Yeah.
supportive way.
And I was reacting. I'm not going to lie that when we moved into this new space,
Mhm.
we still couldn't be like back to normal. We're still not back to normal. We
Right.
lost probably 50% of our business, and it is slowly coming back.
Mhm.
But I was reacting when people were maybe not being as grateful or helping as much, or
Of course.
canceled. It's like, you're complaining? We can't complain. Like,
Well, we do have our human moments, even though we're walking a spiritual path, even though we're healers, we're also human.
yes.
And and that's the beauty of the experience, is to allow us to learn mastery of ourselves, right? And you can't learn mastery unless we're being triggered, unless we're facing the shadow, unless we're getting people who are upsetting us to be in front of us so that we can keep elevating, right? And work through those aspects of self, I think.
Sure.
Yeah, but I'm sure you're breathing more of a sigh of relief, because as time goes on, I think we're going to see more of a settling and neutrality and calmness that comes. Um, that's my feeling and my sense anyway, because the energy that you and Cutter hold is so high vibrationally that anything that's not really resonant with that frequency is going to just shake out and fall away, whether it's a practitioner you've hired or a client. Or I've certainly found for myself that as I go forward and keep evolving and working on my growth, that my energetic resonance is sharper. Like, a lot quicker who's a yes and who's a no. Before, I could bridge more of a gap. I could tolerate more. But as we get more spiritually advanced, it's like our boundaries become very firm and clear. So I kind of feel that's happening for you, because you and Cutter have been on such a journey of just really, I think a journey, I would say, is a spiritual journey back to yourself and your integrity, and back to your soul, and getting really honest about who you guys are and bringing that through into your business. I think you guys have such a beautiful mission with your work.
Thank you.
Yeah, I love it.
When he came on board, I remember the day that he got let go. He called me and he's like, yeah, so I just got let go. And I went to a panic and I called a friend and I thought, okay, I need to calm down. I was on a walk and I remember coming home and I think we had couples therapy within that week. And we just decided, you want to be able to do more of your art. You want to be able to be more creative. He does so much for the house and the businesses. I mean, really. So his dream was to work at home for this time. And he's grown the company exponentially.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm so glad you guys are able to collaborate. Not everybody can work together and be together as partners. I mean, it takes a special kind of symbiotic relationship to make that work, you know.
Boundaries, lots of scheduling and carving out time for ourselves, because now I'm back to starting to carve that out. And
Awesome.
he's starting to carve that out for him. And now we're like, okay, now we need to carve out time for each other that doesn't involve work or kids.
Right. Because that, I would think organically, those are the directions you go. Like, oh, I forgot to mention, you know, you almost have to have these boundaries and like, okay, work is off limits. We're going to go have a nice dinner together.
We really have
Yeah.
to actually have to say there's no work. Unless, I mean, yes, I guess if there's an emergency, but usually at nighttime, there's no emergencies.
Right. I'm so glad that you guys weathered the storm, that you guys are still standing, that you've manifested this perfect space to really expand and grow. And are you always kind of developing new products for skincare? Because I kind of imagine if it was me, I'd be like a mad scientist just playing all the time with stuff.
Well, the magic matcha, did you try the magic matcha mask?
I have not.
Oh
Maybe
my
I'll put that on my list next
God.
time. Next order.
We launched that in July, and we've gotten a lot of amazing feedback, testimonials, and we actually have gotten featured in a couple magazines, and I think we're getting featured on Sugar Pop soon. I'm telling you, this mask, it is like a super food smoothie for your
Are
skin.
you serious?
Smells like you just want to eat and drink it, and you can. It just might taste a little bitter, but it's so good for hyperpigmentation. So for evening out the skin, and it acts as a vitamin C treatment, and you can do it after you spent all day outside.
I'm literally going to get off this interview and buy it. Like,
So
I'm literally going to click off and go buy that.
no, it is. You are going to love it, especially for your skin. And when it's so, your weather conditions in Houston get pretty intense.
It is.
I remember when we were there doing
Yeah.
our review and just walking in the neighborhood, like you're so dry.
Yes.
You're so dry. So this mask will help to calm it and repair it.
So how often can you use that mask?
Every 3 or 4 days. But I would say at least once a week. Like once a week, it's your mini facial in a jar. Do it at night, 20 to 30 minutes. I mean, even if you do 10 minutes, it's fine. But you will.
I never knew I could get this excited about someone telling me about a mask, but I'm like really excited right now.
It is so awesome.
So I'm going to tell you guys, if you're listening, go to Jenette. It's just Jenette Skincare, or is it Jenette All Natural Skincare?
The Instagram and website is Jenette Skincare.
Jenette Skincare, and I'll put the links in the description of the show, but also on the video version. But go to their website. You guys, there's not one thing on there that I don't love. So be careful. Get your credit card out and be careful.
Wendy, I'm going to, if and when you're placing your magic matcha order, I'm going to gift you with what I'm launching in March.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited.
This is a age-defying luxury face and body oil. It's basically kind of like your perfume. You don't need perfume, but it has 8 wrinkle defense peptides in it, and it has cucumber fruit extract. It has every oil that I'm obsessed with that are organic, cold press. So it prevents the aging from happening, and it keeps you firm, hydrated, not greasy. And it's going to come in these magical, they're glass copper, but the oil, it has black pepper, cypress, vetiver. It's very different than anything created, and we're launching it.
I feel like I should just give you my credit card and be like, carte blanche, just send me whatever. It could be dangerous.
Because it has pure rose, you know, I'm obsessed with just the pure, absolute oils.
Yeah.
Nothing is like stepped upon. It's like the pure stuff. Like our rose that we get, you know, it's a 1/4 ounce for $1,000. You know, it's
oh
like,
my gosh, are you serious?
yeah, this is like, I research everything. Like our Be Calm, the vitamin C has sandalwood, precious sandalwood in it. For 1 ounce, it's $700.
Oh my gosh, I love that. Be Calm.
Pure oils. This one's from India, the sandalwood. So anyways, the rose from this is from Hungary. Sometimes we have to source it from another country because we are always trying to find clean soil, clean people who are pressing it. But this is going to be called Divine
I
Balance.
love it. Oh, first of all, I love the names of all of your products because it's like be calm, be divine. Just like I just feel calm when I pull the bottle out and I read it. It's like a reminder, be
That's
calm,
yeah, is to
right?
a ritual, a meditative practice with what we're doing. Why not make it fun and magical and exciting? We're using it every day.
Yes.
So,
Well,
and
of course, your skin is gorgeous. Of course.
I want to love what I'm putting on,
And it smells yummy too. That's the thing. It's not just like this weird paste that you're really great about scent. So it's just so inviting and it's just, oh my gosh, you guys get online and buy this stuff. It's the best. I love it so much. And I'm so grateful that you have these gifts, Jenette, that you're bringing to all of us because you don't even realize how many people you're touching with your products, and they're all infused with your energy. You and Cutter, you're infusing your gorgeous energy into everything you do, whether you're doing a facial on someone or holding space or creating these beautiful skincare products. So I just want to thank you for the gifts that you're bringing to the world. You guys are just phenomenal, and I just love you both. So I'm so grateful that you're doing what you're doing.
you so much. It means so
Yeah.
much.
Oh my gosh. Well, I'm only speaking the truth, and I know I'm speaking for so many other people um, that are using your products. And I love all, even just clicking around on the website, all of the endorsements you've had by, stars and all the press you've had. It's just wonderful and makes you realize there's a real need out there for products like this. And I think you're going to see it increase
Mhm.
as we move into the new world. It's a little more high vibrational. People are going to be more mindful about their mind, body, and soul and what they're putting into it or putting on it in terms of product. So I just can't wait to see what else you're creating. But oh, trust me, as soon as I place my order, I'll be like, all right, Jenette, look for my name. I want that oil.
No. So what you're going to get right now, because we're waiting for the official labels to come in next week,
Okay. Okay.
it's just a little handwritten.
Yeah. Well, I feel like I'm going to save that. That's kind of like the inaugural bottle.
It's so amazing. So what you could do, you just take a little bit of it. You want to shake it. You shake. All my products, I love to shake to make sure you're getting everything.
Right.
And then you'll just take a little bit of it, like a half a dropper, and you want to massage it. And so you can take it just like right here. So I just have it like right here,
Mm-hmm.
right here, and then in here.
I'm all
Because
about it. I can't wait.
you and it's my anti-aging defense.
I'm like so excited about your stuff. First of all, I love you guys, as you know, but I love that your products are just so carefully sourced. You're so mindful of your packaging. Like everything you do has incredible integrity for the earth and the body, the physical body, and you're so mindful. So I just want to thank you, Jenette, for being you and being a friend and spending your precious time with me here. If you, as we wrap up, can give one piece of advice to people who are going through adversity, because you have navigated so much just in your life and creating these businesses, what would you say is the one thing that has really helped you to maintain your balance and inner peace? What do you think is the key thing that's really helped you with that?
Spending time alone,
Mm-hmm.
time for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say that the meditation.
Yeah.
Meditation. I mean, sometimes I'm doing three a day.
Just
You know,
bringing yourself back to center, reconnecting.
like you got to go back inside and the deep breathing.
Mhm.
Cutter and I did a month challenge last year, January. My sister-in-law had never meditated before, and she asked.
Really? Wow.
Sister-in-law is so amazing. She's had so many shifts happen in her life since she started meditating, and
Really? That's exciting.
us if we wanted to do this January challenge with her.
Okay.
Insight timer.
Right.
It's a very large global.
Great app.
And so my sister and my sister-in-law and Cutter and I, we all did it every day.
Wow.
And I cannot tell you, like we still, like yesterday we did 2 meditations, one in the morning, one at night. And
That's
now
awesome. Did you notice a difference in your mindset? I mean, did you notice a shift
well,
from that
honestly,
mindfulness?
I should have mentioned this earlier. I think it's probably what got us through the last part of the pandemic.
That's awesome.
Because it did help us go inside, stay
Yeah.
calm,
Right.
weren't reacting as much.
Huge.
And you realize things aren't so bad. You have your sight, you have your ears to hear, you have your nose, you have your mouth to taste, and hopefully COVID didn't take that all away from you.
Right, right,
But you have hands. I mean,
right.
I'm just so thankful I have my hands.
We know. So gratitude is just such a huge thing, right? That gratitude practice.
Meditation, like blessing every part of your body. Like if you're waking up and going to bed being in gratitude, you're going to be okay.
Totally. Well, I found that you can't, gratitude and suffering cannot exist in the same moment. So every time I personally was in deep suffering, I would switch to gratitude because it was, consciously I would choose that. And it literally, gratitude and suffering cannot exist in the same moment. So if you are in a space of deep suffering right now, this is a great time to begin a gratitude practice because there's always something that we can find, like you're saying, just our vision, our health, our whatever it is, that cup of coffee in the morning. It doesn't have to be something huge, but just the practice of it really does make you shift and kind of rewire your brain and reprogram your mind.
Yeah.
Mindset.
Yeah, you asked about saying goodbye to Beckett, and
Yeah.
it's heart-wrenching, and
Yeah.
I became a different person being so sad.
Yeah.
I was on edge and lashing
Mhm.
out, and I couldn't think of anything to be grateful for.
Oh,
And then once I, had my little cry moments for all
yeah.
those days or month,
Yeah.
it's like, okay, it's gonna be okay.
Mhm.
Tell my son, it's gonna be okay.
Gonna come home for Christmas or Thanksgiving. You'll see him, but it feels so wrenching when you do that drop off and drive away or fly away, and it's just you left a part of you, so I can relate to that.
I could have gotten back into the gratitude quicker, I would have been able to shift things quicker.
Right.
Sometimes, you just need to sulk, I guess. And
everybody gets to have those human moments where we get to really feel bad and allow it. That's part of being human. That's one of the beautiful things about being human is we get to feel. Yeah. So, gosh, Jenette, thank you for such a beautiful conversation today. I sure love you. Thank you for being here. And to my audience, thank you guys so much for your support, for tuning in. Check out Jenette's skincare line. It's awesome. If you're in LA, get in there for some personal one-on-one facial work. She's probably booked out for months, so you need to book early. But take care of yourselves. Love you all. And we will talk to you all later. Bye.